Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I thought I'd quickly do a video here of my last day in Durban on my way to Bloemfontein. It's going to be not such a massive week, but a very different week for the Springboks. This is going to be the week about the fringes and building depth and that. And I just thought I'd do a quick video on what to expect from the squad, what to expect from the test as well. I think Ireland's now done and dusted. It's a series drawn. It's not something anybody's going to be happy about. And while there are platitudes and everyone's congratulating each other, and it was an epic test series, got to give it that. You got to say to yourself, it's an opportunity missed for the Springboks, and I think they'll know that. They'll definitely have wanted to win, and it was by the slimmest of margins. And sometimes that makes it even more difficult to process when it's at such a small margin. But saying that, you've got to move forward, and now the day moving forward, there's a 41-man squad being named. 23 of them will obviously stay, probably 25 of them, and the other 15 odd will be given 10 days off. And those 10 days are very important for them as well, to rest and recuperate and recharge. There's a trip coming up to Australia, and the Boks will want to win both tests in that. Australia, they probably see Australia as being a bit of a target at the moment under new coach Joe Schmidt, and they feel they can probably exploit that. So they'll want to use that trip to the best of their ability. So in that part of that means giving a lot of guys rest and giving them time to recuperate. So then you got to think as well. The other thing that comes up is that there are a couple of injuries that have hit the Boks squad and a couple of niggles. And that makes this test even more important on certain aspects. I think we all know who the settled matchday 23 is. I think there's a couple of players who probably didn't have their best Irish series, and we'll know that. There's a couple of players, and I mentioned Andre Pollard over there as one of the players. I'm not sure if the Kwagga Smith number 8 was a resounding success. Kwagga's a great player. Just not sure he gives the same go forward as Dwayne Vermeulen gave. So do you look at a more physical, robust number 8, or Kwagga does other things in the field exceptionally well. So he's very good in other ways. But I think there's a couple of players probably in that team that will feel that they've been challenged a bit. I won't say they places under threat, but will have been put a bit on notice. It's hard to say, but I think Vincent Koch probably looked a lot better and was maybe a lot easier coming on the second half. But Frans Mulhaber struggled technically with Andrew Porter. Frans is obviously an exceptional scrummager. But there's some questions still to be asked, and it's a difficult one to say because it felt at times like it was a bit of a disjointed performance, and the Boks were trying new things. So you don't know how much of it comes down to system and just implementing the system, or how much comes down to just individuals. We'll see that, and I'm sure the Boks will have analysed that quite extensively. So then let's have a look at the squad that was selected for this coming week, and let's have a look at who will be playing and who won't be playing. We'll be going on sort of sabbatical for 10 days. Okay, so start off with the props. No surprises there. I think everybody who played in the Irish series is there. And Thomas du Toit, who had a great season at Bath, is back there as well. And Tutuku Nchunu is back with the squad. He was released to go play Currie Cup. Young Hendrik Wessels, who's been listed as a prop, which is interesting because he's played more hooker of late at the Bulls. He did turn up at prop on Sunday in the Currie Cup, and they obviously see him as a long-term bet there. So if I hazard a guess, I would say you probably end up giving your front runners, your Oxenchair, Frans Mulhaber, and maybe even Vincent Koch some time off. I think you've got enough. Thomas du Toit can play. Lucid, Trevor Neokane can play tight head. I'd have young Hendrik Wessels on the bench. I think they're looking at that. And Tutuku Nchunu will probably be involved as well. So that would be my couple of props for this weekend. Start with the more seasoned campaigners like Trevor and Thomas, and then move across to some of the youngsters then in the second half. At hooker, it's an interesting one because we've got Malcolm Marx is obviously was hurt in that role of Kalen Doris, which he got the yellow card for. And it's hard to see that anything other than and a way of injuring a player. And given that Malcolm Marx missed 9 months of rugby because of a knee injury, Rassie did say afterwards it's a bit worrying at the moment. We have no clarity if he is actually seriously injured or not, and we'll only find out in the next couple of weeks. But if there is a question mark about Malcolm Marx at the moment, it is a concern, and that makes the hookers selected a lot more interesting. I see. The one question I have, I would say Malcolm Marx is ruled out for the weekend. But if you look at the other hookers that are selected, Johan Grobelo, Rassie described him as the out-and-out number 3 in the squad at the moment. So I reckon we're going to probably see him this weekend, and I would probably start him, depending on another factor, which is the captaincy, which we'll get to in a moment as well. But they also brought in Andre Venter. You might have a case where 2 young hookers start. Be interesting to see if they go that route, if they feel confident enough to do that, or if they keep somebody like Bongi in the squad. Now, the reason I mention Bongi is because of the captaincy. The question is, does Sia lead the team? And if Sia doesn't lead the team, then you've got to look at 2 or 3 other candidates, Pieter-Steph du Toit, Bongi, and probably Eben, of those 3 other candidates who could probably lead the side. So that will also come into factor there. So if they want Bongi to lead the side, he'll probably be start. But it's just going to be interesting to see what they do there. Then looking at the locks, this is an interesting one. There's only 3 locks at the moment. Franco Mostert's injured, so he joins Lut de Jager and John Klein on the injury list. So they have are a bit light at lock at the moment. Even Etzebeth, obviously Colossus when he plays. And then you've got the likes of Salman Murat who's coming through as well, and RG Snyman who's been a bench specialist as well. So what I think we probably will see is RG Snyman starting, although they do have some other options they can try out. Eben, I'm not sure I would give Eben off if you're looking at long term, and I would probably play Salman and RG. I don't think you lose too much there, and Salman's also quite a good leader as well, so I think you could have that as well. And then the other options they have, of course, is guys like Ben Jason Dixon, Pieter-Steph du Toit, who both can play lock as well. And even at the push, you could probably say that somebody like Elrich Lowe or Rowan Venter can play lock as well. Although it's not quite sure if those 2 are going to actually be in the final 23. It's going to be interesting to see. They might have a bench role. I haven't gone too deep in that, and we haven't heard too much from the camp either just yet on that. So my guess would be Salman and RG and somebody like Ben Jason Dixon covering that on the bench. Okay, obviously Sia's there, and your question is, do you give Sia a rest or does he start? My inclination would be that he would probably start. I think they'd want him to lead and they'd want him there, but if they do give him a rest, it's also understandable. It's a sort of 6 of one, half dozen the other. But if he doesn't start, then I suppose the ideal person to start there would be Marco van Staden, who has been on the bench for the Irish series as well. He'll play that 6 role. He plays a bit of a different role to Sia. We won't see him in the tram lines as much. It'll be interesting to see who does go into the tram lines if Pieter-Steph and Sia aren't there and are being rested. But if those 2 are rested, you're going to see very interesting, because I think Marco van Staden would be ideal candidate for 6. And then we look at 7 and 8. Evan Roos is obviously the ideal candidate for 8 because he'll get another test. Kwagga Smith will probably be rested. Jasper's visa is out. He's still serving his suspension. So that leaves you with Pieter-Steph du Toit, who I'd rest. Do you play a Pepsi Buthelezi? Do you play Ben Jason Dixon? Or do you play Rowan Venter? I think Pepsi and Ben Jason have been with the squad a lot longer, so I would favour them to go there. I suppose it just depends. Do you play the one in the starting role and the other one off the bench? Especially with Ben Jason Dixon, who can cover lock as well. It's going to be interesting to see there. But I think your loose trio is going to be quite young. It could be Evan Roos, probably Marco van Staden, and we'll see who the other one is. But that's going to be quite an interesting selection to watch. Then at 9, Faf de Klerk probably get a rest. I would say that Kobus Reinach must come into the equation now. And it just depends what they really want to do. If they want to give a youngster a go, I'd say Morne van den Berg might get a bench role there. I think the way Rossi's been talking, you sort of get the sense he might get a cap there. But with Grant Williams playing exceptionally well in Durban as well, it will be the temptation to start him. But how do you leave a guy like Kobus Reinig out? The other argument is you always have to have some experience around the team, and when do you have that experience, and when do you give the youngsters? And I know the Boks aren't keen to do what they did in 2022 and make 18 changes. I think that backfired. That hurt them a bit that they had to do it. There was reasons why they had to do it, obviously, at that time, because they lost 2 years to Alliance and to COVID. And so they needed to blood a lot of players very fast. So you're going to see those guys. I think those are the players you look at. I would, if it was up to me, not that I'm a boxer, but I could see Grant Williams starting this one, and I could see probably Morne van den Berg on the bench. But there is a very valid argument for Kobus Reinig to be there. He's now been with the squad for a couple of weeks, and he's got a lot of experience, and he is somebody that they trust a lot, and they like in that position as well. Fly-offs, now that's the interesting one, because you would think Andre Pollard gets rested, and you would think the Boks probably go with a 5-3 bench and not a 6-2 bench. So do you go with Manie Libbok, or do you go with Sasha? At the moment, Sasha played 15 the entire test. Woody LaRue came off with concussion. He's another one who will be out for Bloemfontein. So do you go with Sasha, or do you go with Manie? My sense is that Manie will definitely get the nod there. Sasha probably be either at fullback or covering the role of the bench, although there must be a temptation, I think, there to probably play him as well in some role, just to carry on with his development and give him more game time. He certainly struggled in the beginning, but he made some mistakes on Saturday, but overall, I thought he did some very good things as well. So, and he was thrown in the deep end as well, so I'm not too worried about his performance on Saturday. I know some people are saying, yeah, he made a lot of mistakes, but that comes with the territory. Turn to the midfield. Now, this is where you're going to see a lot more familiarity. I think it's incumbent on them to give a guy like Lukhanyo Am some game time. And he brings a lot of experience as well. So I see him, and Andre Eesthuizen deserves to get some game time as well. So I see him, those two starting in that role. Give Damien's anyway away from the camp with personal reasons, and Jesse I think has done a lot of work, and he deserves a rest as well. So I see those two players obviously getting their shot there, and I think it's important because you're going to need depth at midfield for the rugby championship. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And then wings and fullback. I suppose first dress the fullback. There would be a temptation to play somebody like Ches and Colby at fullback, but you've got Apelele Fassi who played against Wales. I would probably give him another run, and probably, if you can, make way for Kieran Horn somewhere on the bench. Although I'm not sure he's going to crack the match day 23 at the moment. Apelele at fullback I think makes a lot of sense. Edward van der Merwe is injured at the moment, so you're not going to see too much new in the wings. But saying that, you've got Kane Moody who's back from injury and rejoined the squad last week, so I expect him to be on the one wing, and probably Makazole Mapimpi on the other wing. That with Apelele Fassi, I think that gives you a good back three as well, and then you just have to sort out who's going to be on the bench to cover those positions. So that's the selection I would probably go with. It'll be quite interesting to see what they come up with. Of course, it's going to be an interesting week in Bloemfontein. We'll get more ideas as we get closer to the squad this, and as we see them train this week. We'll probably see a lot more then. But yeah, that's it. I'm off. I'm going to get in the car now, drive through to Bloemfontein. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. And see you from Bloemfontein. Cheers.